It's Sunday night, it's just gone past 10 to 6, and it's hockey night in the hangar as the TSI World Berkshire Bees welcome our visitors from up north in the Solway Sharks. And almost 11 months to the day, we're just saying the same thing, as it's do or die for both teams in a hunt for the playoff push. Only this year, the roles are reversed. The Solway Sharks are 9th, looking to get back into the top 8 and hopefully end a skid, but it's only seen get 1 point in the last 10 games. The Bees know that every game from here on in is a must win. Rooted to the bottom, they're just looking to claw back into the fight. I'm joined tonight by Anthony Russell, and Anthony, this is the proper last chance saloon.
Well, people say they love playoff hockey. They want more playoff hockey. We get playoff hockey in the middle of February for both the Bees and the Sharks. A massive game for both sides. When you consider the run that both have been on since the last time the two teams played back at the back end of January, it's been very rocky for Solway. It's been slightly better for the Bees, but both teams desperately need a win tonight here in Berkshire.
Well, you say on the current run of form, here's producer Nick with hoping his usual stats package that he's done for us tonight. He's hoping the buttons are a bit slow tonight, don't worry everybody. One on, one off, it might work. Here we go, the current run of form, that's the period stats, that's the wrong button. Here we go, have another go. Nope, that's also the wrong. Well, here's the league table. Nick's forgotten his buttons anyway. The Solway, well, we could have done the league table, Nick. Have you found it now? There we go.
There we go.
There we go. The Bees with the one lonely green square on that board of the last 5. That does include last night's the Bees going down in Sheffield 5-3. The Solway Sharks losing 5-6 at home to the Hull Seahawks in a tempestuous game, I think we can say, overall. Anthony, when you look at the way the teams obviously line up, obviously ignoring the whole games played and wins and stuff, because those are irrelevant. Two very almost even teams. The games have been good so far this year. The Sharks, they've won the head-to-head series 3-1. These two teams, they obviously get along. They play similar brands of hockey, relying on speed and skill at times and just sheer defensive force. But how do you think this game is going to go tonight? Like I say, playoff hockey, both teams desperate for wins. It could be, all of that could be completely thrown out the window.
Well, I think it depends a massive amount really for the Sharks as to what their response is to last night. Now, the Bees obviously did really well. They came from 3-0 down back to 3-0 before eventually Sheffield just edged past them. Solway, as you say, a massively tempestuous game. No Liam Stenton, no Carl Caruth, both suspended for this evening's game. But the Sharks came back into it and then threw it away, gave away a late power play. Jason Hewitt with that game winner inside the last minute. What mentality do we have from our friends from southwest Scotland this evening? Because if they come out all guns blazing, it could be a very, very tough night for the Bees. If the Sharks are a little bit too reserved, as much space as you can get, because both Dumfries and Slough have relatively similar sized ice pads. You don't want to give space to a Marcel Balage, to a Dominic Gabai, to a Ralph Sesenis, to Will Stead with a 20-plus goal season for the first time in his senior career. And for a Shark side that's travelled down to Berkshire with only 4 recognised defencemen, they could be in for a long night if they don't hit the ground running. More
on those 4 recognised defencemen shortly. A quick look at the table for tonight. Well, before tonight's game, obviously, as I say, the Bees rooted to the bottom. Just the 11 wins all in all on the season, 26 points. The Sharks, 1 point behind the Telford Tigers, 11 games left on this massive run in towards the end of the year. And obviously, all eyes on the battle between first and third up in Milton Keynes tonight. Big title implications there.
And massive implications as well towards the bottom end as Telford take on Bristol. That faces off at the same time as this game tonight as well. Implications at the top and the bottom of the NIHL National Division this evening.
You say about the games, here are the games currently for this weekend. Nick has had to fix this on the fly. He forgot there was a cup final going on. It is currently the MK Lightning 0, Swindon Wildcats 0 in the first. The Hull Seahawks lead Sheffield 1-0 in the first. We kick off at 6 o'clock, so do Telford Bristol, and it's Leeds Knights 4, Romford Raiders 1 in the cup final second leg, which makes it 8-6 on aggregate.
Well done.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the score from last night. Good thing I don't run a website or anything like that.
5-4 win for Romford last night, a superb game of hockey, but one that Romford ultimately spent a lot of the game chasing. Cup final could be an interesting prospect. I wondered to you on our way up here, how tired would the Raiders be? It seems the Knights at home are proving to be a formidable opponent once again.
Your team lineups for this evening, as I try and catch Nick out. Firstly, for the TSI World Berkshire Bees, there are 2 Adam Rossbottom, 5 Ollie Nags, 12 Hallam Wilson, 13 Marcus Mitchell, 15 Ty Cathcart, 16 Adam Erskine, 18 Preston Toms, 19 Will Stead, 21 Marcel Balaz, 23 Dominic Gabai, 24 Dan Rose, 27 Josh Smith, 33 Ralph Sesenis, 71 Josh Kelly, 74 Liam Morris, 94 Stuart Morgan, 95 Jacob Ranson, net minus 42 Max Wright, and 45 Dean Skins. And for what feels like the first time since about November, I can say the Bees are unchanged from the night before, which is odd. Anthony, you say the Bees, they're relying on Will Stead this year. You said earlier on the way up, 7 goals against the Sharks so far this year in the 4 games. He'll be looking to keep that running form going into this 5th and final one.
Very much so, and that assist the other night as well means that Will Stead is now the top British point scorer for the Bees across the duration of the season. A massive year for him, and they need him to turn up on a night like this. We talk about Gabai and Balaj and those big end guys turning up. Will Stead's now one of those top end guys.
We don't obviously mention the name of the person who he has overtaken, of course, for obvious reasons. Your visitors this evening. Hello to all of you watching it up in the bar, Puckies in Solway. Yes. I know you're watching it.
The Peckish Cafe watch-along.
The Peckish Cafe watch-along. Hi, Andy. I know you're watching. Line-up tonight, 5 Olivier Arsenault, 6 Stuart Kerr, 9 Mason Alderson, 12 Kel Beattie, 14 Lewis Young, 21 Torrin Anderson, 22 John Dunbar, 25 Connor Henderson, 43 Nolan Gardner, 49 Liam Danskins, 63 Joey Coulter, 68 Callum Boyd, 89 Scott Henderson, 92 Callie Robertson, net minus 30 Callum Hepburn, 33 Jordan Marr. And Anthony, games against the Bees this year for the Sharks, it's been a 2-man show. The Bees have been unable to stop Dunbar and Gardner. Very much so. It's been those two guys have been an absolute super combination all season. Although something that's probably worth noting is that Nolan Gardner, despite having a 40-goal season, he has not scored since that game the Sharks won back on the 25th of January against the Bees. So potentially, could the Bees be in for a way to stop him this evening if we've got a slightly nervous, a Gardner holding his stick a little tighter than before? But the issue, of course, is whilst that is a shorter bench for Solway, especially given the lack of Carruth and Stenton tonight, there are other guys who can put the puck in the net, like Dunbar, like both Hendersons, like Callie Robertson. They're not short on offence, even if it's not the most confident of offence right now. So you've heard that, everyone. It's the commentator's kiss of death, brought to you by Anthony Russell. Nolan Gardner is either not scoring at all tonight, or he's going to score 4. I'm about to be very popular in South West Scotland, or banned from going north of the border, all things considered. Though, of course, the strange stat, of course, that we just mentioned before we came live on air, the Sharks at the moment, 3 back-to-back 6-5 losses, which in the midst of a terrible run for them anyway, that's a bit of a strange stat. As Max Wright leads the Bees out for tonight's game, we'll have our match night officials and the first period in about 2.5 minutes' time, following the national anthem.
And welcome to the everyone active Slough Ice Arena, the home of your TSI World, the Berkshire Bees. As always, kick off with tonight's game. We can please ask Josh Smith from the Bees and the captain for the Solway Sharks. Please step forward for tonight's ceremonial puck drop. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are able to, please stand and remove any headwear for the playing of the national anthem.
Well, we hope you're in set and comfy. It's your Sunday night's main events. Your officials for the evening, because we forgot them first. That's the team. In the water wings of power, it's Mr. James Irons, Mr. Matthew Rose, linesman Mr. Chris Edwards, and Mr. Kenny George, owner of the best sideburns in all of the land.
There is no contest on that one at all. Mr. George, a legend in his own lifetime for the facial hair.
Starting netminders, firstly for the home side, it's, well, there's no prizes for guessing who. It's Max Wright. There's an 11-24-4 record on the year, a 907 save percentage, 4.07 goals against average, and 2,301 minutes in the crease. And at the other end for the Sharks, when you have a big game, there's only one man you really call. It's Jordan Marr, 14-21-3 on the year, an 8.87 save percentage, 3.99 goals against average, and 2,258 minutes in the crease. Anthony, two very, very good netminders. Marvellously, vastly experienced, playoff title winning netminder, of course. Now got to try and drag the Scottish side into the playoffs.
Yeah, and he's not had the greatest of numbers. Whilst his numbers across the season are maybe not the best, the biggest stat was the one of having looked over the last couple of games heading into this one. In the last 5 games, Max Wright's save percentage is just tipping over the 90 point. Jordan Marr's is only at 85. So if they're wanting a game for him to lock in, tonight is the night for Jordan Marr.
The Bees obviously in their home black jerseys. The Sharks in their road whites. You just wait for a water bottle to be dropped on Max Wright's net. Nothing like being prepared for a game, lads. James Irons has them ready to go. Checks with both netminders. And we are underway with the first period of tonight's game as the Bees win the opening puck draw and immediately turn it over. The Sharks in on goal, force a save out of right early. Callie Robertson pouncing on the errant pass. Gets into the blue line. Right, we'll hold that one in. And, well, 13 seconds in and we almost had a disaster.
Yeah, a slight panicked moment there from all concerned. We're going to see a lot of ice time for this top line tonight for the Sharks of Gardner, Dunbar and Robertson, and they nearly made it pay dividends straight away. Tonight is going to be a game of who makes the least errors, it feels like.
Bees win the draw. Mould up the far side wall instead. Turner in centre ice. Finds goodbye. No, that one's behind him. Sharks into the zone. Lovely little move. Blocked by Stead on that occasion. Mould will try and chip it clear. Bounces over the blue line and out. Arsenault. Fired into the zone. Right, we'll settle it down. Both teams going for changes. Goodbye. Long stretch pass to Rossbottom. Not quite under control. That will float through to Marr. Round the boards it goes. Sharks getting a little tangle of their own there with Young. Change the lines for the Bees for this week, or for tonight anyway. Rossbottom, Sesenis, Rose being the second unit. Nags tries to come away with it. Rossbottom leaves it for the young defenceman. Fired back to Sesenis. Sesenis again with a shot. That one comes off the stick of Arsenault and wide. Sharks will try and bring it out. That one's kept in by Morris. It's pinching in from the blue line. Lovely little move from Morris. Scored last night. And tries to force a backhand shot as he's losing his skates. Nags finds Sesenis. Loses out. Nags is there on clean-up duty. Thrown into the zone. Sesenis runs into trouble with 2 Sharks around him. The Sharks will break the other way. 2-on-1 chance for the men from North of Border. It's now 2-0. Max Wright has to pull something out and does as Mason Alderson goes to the between-the-legs finish.
Alderson's just managed to step around Mitchell like he wasn't there and went for fancy. Probably should have been a bit more direct, but a great save by Max Wright to start the evening.
Sesenis has done really well to get out of the pile there and then fans on the shot last minute. Regains the puck. Shot goes in! Wow! Unexpected from the Latvian. Not much of a celebration, but it counts all the same. 2:15 gone and Sesenis has his 6th of the season.
Shush, says Sesenis as he makes the gesture again, having scored. And we can see here on the replay, it's taken a deflection off of something. I'm not entirely sure what, because that shot's gone low to go high. So maybe it's taken. There we go. There's the tip in front from Adam Rossbottom that's done the damage there. But of course, what a kicker for the Sharks, having had a really great chance. The Bees go up the other end and score. That's hockey.
Rossbottom's 7th of the year if it sticks. You never know what calls we get as Wilson Springs over the blue line, poked away. Ranson there helping out. And the Sharks will get the puck. Long cross-ice pass up forward. Jumped in. Scott Henderson loses out to Josh Kelly. It's been given to Sesenis. We think it's Ross Bottom as Coulter collects the puck. Coulter wheeling. Forces a shot, not much on it. Wright kicks it aside. Henderson, I should say Connor on this occasion, finds Scott. Both of them on the same line. That's at least helpful for me tonight. Coulter. Gets a return pass. Shot from just outside the hash marks, a save by Wright. Bees will try and clear. Smith, high off the plexi. Ranson helps it on its way. Bees will try and get a change in. Sharks up the far side wall. Little stop at the blue line. Fired into the zone. Wright pushes it into the corner. Stead away from Robertson. That one will evade Kelly. Dump back in down low. Goodbye. Collects the loose puck. Clear lane up this near side. We'll get a shot on goal. That's off the blocker of Marr. Bounces high. Collected by Stead. Poked off his stick by Gardner. Gets the puck himself. 3-on-2 the other way. Gardner slowly does it over the blue line. Finds a trailing Dunbar. Dumped in front. Brilliant finish from the Sharks. Callie Robertson, I think, got the touch on it for his 8th for the year, but they seem to be celebrating with John Dunbar. Either way, it's 1-1, 4:04 gone.
Well, certainly the flyby screen from Robertson has certainly had an effect. Whether he's made contact on the puck or not, we're about to see. But this has been the thing that Solway have been very good at. They've not looked particularly strong at the back end. It's all looked a bit bitty and a bit wary at times. But they've come forward with speed there. Dunbar's put it on net, and I still can't tell whether Callie Robertson's got a touch on that or not. I suppose we'll find out from the officials. Either way, 1-1.
I think he has, which will make it his 8th for the year. He didn't celebrate much. The Sharks into the zone again. Another little drop pass and forces another save out of Wright. This time Lewis Young forcing the chance. Well, I think 6-5 might be on again.
It does feel like they've chosen not to be open. They've chosen to try and play to their strengths, Solway, which is apparently coming forward at speed on the smaller ice pad.
You might get to do your line live on the air tonight. Nags.
We'll keep it in the back pocket for the moment.
Turnover in their own zone again. Shot off the glove of Wright. This time Alderson snapping it on net. Nags tries to clear. Runs into trouble once more. Boyd with the wraparound attempt. Poked away by Sesenis. Back to Boyd. Lovely little move from Callum Boyd to create a little pocket of space. Lots of sticks in the lane though. Bees will try and clear. Nags finds Rossbottom. It's a break the other way. Rossbottom over the blue line. That shot, watch, goes wide by Marr. Arsenault collects the puck. Here come the Sharks again. Stretch pass blocked. Sesenis will turn in his own zone. Helped on its way by Rose. Sesenis and Alderson making friends already. And icing called. 5-10 gone in the first.
The Sharks are doing a really good job about exploiting that bit of space, particularly on the change, moving the puck really, really quickly up the ice. And then as soon as the Bees come in the opposite direction, they all seem to be a little bit unsure of where they're actually going to go. It's a fascinating watch, though. Of course, this is, these are two teams who have struggled recently in terms of keeping the puck out of the net. So maybe expecting really solid defensive structure was a little bit too much on my part. But either way, it certainly seems like we're going to be in for a pretty exciting game if this is the sort of hockey we're going to get for 60 minutes.
Puck goes up into the bench. That will stay inside the zone. Robertson from Dunbar from Gardner is the first Sharks goal. Ralph Sesenis' goal unassisted. Actually, should say, hi Annika, watching it from home. We're one producer down up here tonight, so I can't just look over her shoulder and find out who the assists are. Sharks with it behind their own nets. Finally brought out. Through the zone it goes, off the skates of Ranson into the corner. Anderson gets there ahead of Kelly. Helped away by Mitchell. Foot race to the puck. Ranson deceptively quick, but can't get there on this occasion. Fires the puck over to Mitchell. Pokes ahead. Smith. Into the corner. Gets a little bit of assistance here. Bees try and bring it out of the corner. Chance now. Wilson fired, saved by Marr. Stead. Heavy hit behind the goal on Wilstead. Nothing doing there. Kelly can't keep that one in the zone. Bees will just reset. Smith fires over to Stead, who got acres of space. Wilstead shot off the blocker of Marr. Well cleaned up by the Sharks.
That was a very, very solid shot. A poor change there from the Sharks, just giving the Bees acres of space.
Wilstead again there with a brilliant poke check to get or break the pass up from Robertson to Gardner. Gardner on the puck again now. Pulls his way through centre ice. Thrown ahead. Icing is given on that occasion.
You can see what Gardner was trying to do there, and also as well the Bees not sending in too much of a forward check, immediately just dropping back into neutral, clogging the lanes, because ultimately Gardner's either going to have to play the pass off or he's going to have to try and work his way through 5 men. The problem is that you give him half an inch of space and Nolan Gardner will dance through 5 men and get a shot.
Bees win the draw. It's in the corner. Goodbye collects. Bumped off the puck. Sharks will get hold of it. Rung around the boards. Kept in at the blue line by Mogg. Dropped off. Ballas to the front of the net. Will try and shovel it under the Marr. Marr does enough to keep it out and then does brilliantly well on the second attempt. Ballas finds the shooting lane on the forehand. Shot saved Marr. He paddles it back out towards the Bees. Cathcart fires from the goal line. Shovel at the near side of the net. Goodbye can't get in on that occasion. Sharks do well enough and bring it the other way. 3-on-3 at speed through the centre. Gardner drops it off. Dunbar again. That one gongs right on the mask and he'll cover up.
And again, that speedy transition from the Sharks, but a massive set of chances there for the Bees as well. You've got one man drawing the net and 2 defensemen and a forward down low, all step forward to follow the trailing man and just allows the forward to go walking straight onto the net. But again, this is what Jordan Marr can do when he's locked in. It's lots of saves in tight.
Young loses out on that one. Rose drops it off for Morris. Bees the other way. Mops over the blue line. Fired across the zone. High bounce into the corner. Arsenault able to find a free forward. Boyd loses it. Coming over the blue line. Well cleaned up. Into the zone they come. Young collects the puck. Back high. Thrown to Alderson. Alderson tries to turn the fire into the low slot. Nags almost gives it away there. Alderson again. Takes the hit from Rose. Does a good job collecting it. Nags from behind his own goal. Off the plexi, kept in. 4 Sharks in the Bees zone. Alderson, that one's off the shoulder of Sesenis. Rose can set Sesenis away. That pass, a little too much on it. Marr will get there first. Turnover, Sesenis shot, that one's blocked. Wilson off the bench, over the blue line. Just has to flip it into the corner as the box closes in around him. Some expert football skills there from a Sharks defender.
I believe that was Olivier Arsenault who's managed to, well, not quite replicate the skills of the Arsenal on that particular occasion.
I'll have another go though. Chipped up the near side wall, right out of his net to play it. Finds Mitchell. Wilson, the Bees trying to attack up the far side, lose it at the Sharks blue line. Dumped into the corner, foot race. Oh, icing. I wasn't looking for referee signals. Icing called, 9:23 gone, period number 1.
Well, certainly one of the conversations you and I were having off air before we started was we wondered whether this was going to turn into a bit of a gunfight. So we're just about halfway through the first period. Whilst the score is only 1-1, it does feel like a game where there is going to be a lot of chances tonight. We're going to see a lot of pucks on net, and it might, well, both netminders have technically blinked. Who will blink more, I think, now?
Mogg shot from just inside the blue line, goes wide of Marr's right-hand post. Long cross-ice stretch pass is fired off a linesman. Unfortunately for the Sharks, Ranson collects the puck at his own blue line. Flipped ahead, Arsenal will get there ahead of Wilson. Coulter Chipped on ahead. This will be icing again, I think. No, that one's washed off on this occasion. Mog collects long stretch pass. Balaz tips it on ahead. Sorry, BT is there first. Should get that right, really. Goodbye. Over to Stead. That one broken up. Sharks the other way again. Robertson under pressure from Morris. It's a bit of space away from his man. Stead over to meet him. BT. Download to Dunbar, who kicks that on to Goodbye. Goodbye will fire it over at Will Stead, who has to grab it at speed. Held in the corner by Kerr. Finally knocked loose from the pile. Gardner moves it across to BT. That one flipped ahead. Nags can't glove it down. Foot race to it between Morris and Dunbar. Gardner fans on that pass. Arsenault does it brilliantly well to get it back. Robertson fashions a shooting angle. Too many sticks in the lane there. Prevents any kind of clean shot on that occasion. Instead, that thing is kept in the blue line. Nags there to clean up.
And the real marker of this so far has been just how aggressive Solway are in coming forward. It's leaving a massive amount of space behind them. But where the Bees are not really putting on much of a forecheck and kind of dropping back into neutral, the Sharks are generally putting one, sometimes even two guys forward, and are just trying to force the pace of this game. The problem is that they're leaving themselves so wide open at the back that the Bees have got options to really, pardon the pun, sting them if something goes wrong.
Other dad jokes are available online.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't intentional for once, I promise.
Morris under pressure from Boyd. Rose helps it along the wall. Nags. Behind his own net. Boyd not having time to think. Finds Dan Rose on the assist. Morris chips it out the zone. Sasenis helps it on its way. Ross bottom in a foot race to the park. Gets there first. Ahead of Danskin. Rose goes to the front of the net. Mog all the way at the blue line. Fires into the corner. Sasenis collects. Bump behind the net. The Sharks will clear. Rose obviously, I think, tripping up on the net as he tried to circle on the wraparound is what's being signalled by Matt Rose, which seems fair from what we saw. Mog. Fired over to Cathcart a little too hard, and that's turned over. Scott Henderson to the front of the net. Another save from Max Wright on Mason Alderson.
Great idea by Alderson, it just didn't come off.
That one fired wide on this occasion. Arsenault keeps it in at the blue line. Smith breaks up the pass. Anderson is there to collect, and he will draw a penalty, this time off Hallam Wilson. Delayed penalty coming. Shot through on goal is blocked in front, and the penalty will be called. Hallam Wilson, 2 minutes of tripping at 12:57. Sharks are heading to the power play.
Well, that penalty was drawn like one of your French girls, if you'll pardon the pun. It was an absolute cast iron one that you're not going to get away with, and played for and got, as I believe.
Are you really going to try and tell me that one wasn't planned?
Off the top of the head, I'm definitely calling that one as not having immediately had it in my back pocket, but you're not going to believe me, so it doesn't matter either way. Sharks to the power play, whatever.
Sharks on the power play. 27 goals this year, 16.36 success rate. The Bees penalty kill. They've given up 31 goals on the season, 79.05 success rate. The Sharks power play basically been run through Nolan Gardner all year. He's got 10 of the 16 goals, and the Sharks have drawn another penalty. It's going to be 5-on-3. Gardner will wheel around in the zone, fires the shot through traffic. That one's blocked by Robertson and cleared again. And the Bees will head 2 men down. 13:24 the time of this one. It'll be a minute 33 of 5-on-3 as Ty Cathcart heads to the box. Conversations going on here, whether or not it's 2 or more by the looks of it.
There's certainly quite a sizable coming together. But the discussion, interesting to know, would be interesting, of course, to know what the discussion is.
Tripping is the call. So it's 2 minutes of tripping. Not sure why the discussion in that case.
The roulette wheel of penalties potentially as to which of the variety of things they thought that they could call, they have called. Either way, this very, very good Bees penalty killing unit has now got a real task on its hands.
90 seconds of 5-on-3, and that's another big save from Max Wright. Callie Robertson, low slot. unable to find Twine on that occasion. Marr out of his net to play the puck. By the one-man forecheck just to try and clog a passing lane. Sharks will attack up this near side wall. Dunbar. That one's off the back of Goodbye. Bouncing puck. Morris unable to clear on that occasion. Gardner. Arsenal. Gardner, that one's off the skate of Mogg. Dunbar collects. And stepping in, that one's saved by Wright. He'll hold on.
Max Wright's going to save those kind of shots all day long. A good idea from Cal Beattie, probably hoping for a bit more traffic in front or being able to potentially to pick the top corner. That thing's only found the logo slap bang in the middle of Max Wright's chest. Unsurprisingly, given how well they've moved it up the ice, pretty solid puck moving on the power play to start with from the Sharks, but they've actually got to have a bit more intent, try and get a few more pucks on net, try and stretch this three-man defensive unit.
Mogg clears off the draw. Now kill about 10 seconds of the power play. Sharks over the blue line once more. They have changed up on the lines. Coulter bumps into the corner by Goodbye. Mogg will clear again.
This is all too easy for the Bees at the moment, even with two men down.
Sharks will lead the rush up again. 22 seconds left on the Wilson minor. Lovely little move into the zone. And just lost at the last second by Mason Alderson. Alderson again gets the pass from Kerr. Top of the blue line, down low finds Coulter, who had a little pocket of space just behind him, unfortunately for the visitors. Alderson still with it. Young, Bees back to 4. Young down low below the goal line, 20 seconds left. Back high again, Alderson winds up, fires, that one's wide of the net. Kerr finds Henderson. Coulter fires from the goal line. Young on the back door, can't find the net. Morris collects the puck, takes a hit from Henderson as the Bees return to full strength. Puck towards goal. Young collects it. Fired across the zone. Kerr shot through traffic. That one's off the blocker right and fired away. Ballaz will clear, finds Wilson. Pokes in the corner. The Bees looking to just get a change so they can get proper lines on.
A massive penalty kill there, though, for the Bees, and one that should give them a great amount of confidence. That second unit in particular really struggled to kind of get anything going just because of how well they set themselves up.
Gardner with a shot. That one's off the logo of Max Wright. He'll hold on. 3:54 remaining in period 1. And it must be said, Stuart Morgan and Liam Morris out there for all 2 minutes of that 5-on-3. Two very big penalty killers for the Bees this year, and you can see why.
And they made it look comfortable as well, ultimately. A couple of chances, one right there at the end, of course, that low pass from Coulter across to Young that he missed from the tight angle. But there wasn't enough on there. Two extra men on the ice, and the Sharks really just haven't challenged right enough.
Win the draw on this one, then. Arsenault thrown across the zone, blocked by Sesenis. Battle in front of the net, shot save right. They will get it in on this occasion, though. Callie Robertson with the goal, and Ty Cathcart takes a very silly penalty. 16-16. Callie Robertson makes it 2-1 Sharks on a lovely little finish at the top of the paint, and that's goal number 9 of the year.
There was a really good finish in tight there as well. You can see there Robertson just battling away with Mogg, manages to get the position and finds that gap on the right-hand side of Wright to get it in, and then Cathcart's gone and taken himself another penalty and had a shouting match with Liam Danskin.
So 16-16 time of the goal. Sharks are 2-1 up, and they're going to head back on 2 minutes of a 5-on-4.
How interesting, is he called a slash there? Because he's definitely tripped him up.
I think, again, it's one of those ones he could have called a few things.
Yes.
But again, there's another conversation going on about whether or not it's 2 or more by the looks of it. Well, 2 is on the clock, anyway, for Ty Cathcart.
Because obviously you and I stood very close to each other. From what I've seen there, Cathcart has tripped up Robertson as he's stood up. It's after the play, the puck is already in. The fact they've called a penalty isn't particularly an issue. I'm wondering what else they potentially call here, because, like I said, for me, it's a trip rather than a slash. Was there a slash? You got two guys kind of knocking away at each other. It'd be an interesting thing to call on either way.
Well, the way the lines are shaping up makes me think he's not going to be ejected from this. So it may be 2 + 10, but we don't know. We'll wait and see what goes on. There's 2 definitely on the clock.
Ashley Tate demanding an explanation, which is not unreasonable.
Nope. It's 5-on-4. We both frantically check the NIHL website. Nothing on there just yet. Obviously, still waiting for the goal to go in. The goal is up on the board at least, and the Sharks are not heading to the man advantage. The Cathcart penalty has been removed. Answers on a postcard, please. Please win the draw anyway. They can't call it a delayed penalty if they have. That's... yeah. Goodbye. Up to Balaz on this near side. Pushed into the corner by Boyd. Fired clear. Icing will be waved off. Morris deemed able to play it. Right. We'll find Nags. Nags can't clear under duress from Anderson.
That aggressive forecheck for the Sharks causing problems again.
Ollie Nags blows past, well, 3 players in the end. Marr has to play it, push it around the side. Stead cycles it round for Balance. Goodbye over to Collect. Tries to spin away from danger. We'll wait and find out what's gone on there with that call. And the Sharks clear the zone. Morris over to Goodbye. Thrown to Balaz, and that one is cleared. Kept inside the blue line by Morris. Steps in, fires the shot on goal, kicked aside by Marr. Goodbye. Leaves it for Balaz. Balaz towards goal. That one saved by Marr. He'll hold on. All the 2s remaining in period number 1.
Good little spell of pressure there from the Bees as well. Goodbye winning ball battles, able to kind of get the puck moving around before that final shot comes in. Marr having to catch it high. Oh, bit of an awkward one for him in the end, but the Bees need to put a bit more pressure on. It feels like they haven't. Obviously, the extended power play made it feel like they spent a lot of time down here at our end of the ice. The Bees need to start getting a few more shots on Jordan Marr, particularly if they can make them uncomfortable for him to have to attempt to save.
Goal number 2 for the Sharks is Callie Robertson. Ty Cathcart has still been given a penalty, but it's 5-on-5.
We might query that one during the break, I think.
There's been a make-up call is what we've missed. Ty Cathcart has been given 2 for slashing. Callie Robertson was also given 2 for slashing. They've just announced it. Which is an interesting decision to say the least. The Sharks will break once more. 1:40 remaining in period number 1. Boyd evades the hit from Kelly. Does enough to knock him off the puck though. Wilson looks for an option. Mogg round the boards. That one's going to be completely misplayed. Dunbar will pounce on it. Fires on the backhand. No, does eventually. That one's through the paint and out the other side. Shot comes in. That one almost takes the head off James Irons. Danskin will go back to Arsenault. Alderson over the blue line. Chips on ahead. Henderson. I should say Scott. In the corner, Rose brings it away. Minute and change to go as the Bees break up ice. Rose drops it off for Sesenis, who can just do nothing but throw it into the corner. Beatty. Morris breaks up that drive. Puck will trickle through to right. He has no other option but to hold on. 49 seconds remaining in period number 1.
Yeah, it's a bit of a slightly clumsy moment there that Max Wright had to do something with, which he's managed to do so. Yes, a very interesting last few seconds here, because the Bees can generate something out of nothing.
Right off the back of the net, Morris tries to clear. Balaz helps it on its way. Foot race between Stead and Beatty. Beatty the easy winner there. And we'll throw it on goal, so no icing call on that one. Right, looks for an option. Finds Stead at centre ice. Plays himself into trouble. Gardner on the back check. Breaks that up. Balaz thrown through the slot. No one there in a black shirt. Sharks the other way. Just under 20 seconds left. Dunbar. Cross ice. Brilliant save, Max Wright. Gardner with Morris all over him.
Lou Morris lucky not to take a penalty on that one. I think he's managed to keep himself just the right side of legality.
Nags' clearance is kept in the blue line. 4 seconds remaining. Liam Morris breaks that one up ahead of Beatty, and the Bees bench is incensed
Well, he's very lucky there, Kel Beattie. That looked like a cross-check from my perspective, and they're going to go for it.
Here you go, Anthony, if they do.
It's only taken 2 and a bit years of commentating, and even then they still aren't actually fighting.
They want to.
They do.
Well, that'll do it for period number 1. The Bees jumped out to the early lead. Sesenis making the most of what was originally a mistake and then capitalising, scoring the first. The Sharks go and score 2 unanswered from about a combined 4 feet out of the crease. Goals coming from Callie Robertson on both occasions. The first on a tip in, the second a beautifully worked finish at the end of the power play. Anthony, 2-1 Sharks at the end of the first. It feels right. They've been a lot more clinical. They've driven the offense a lot more in this game. But it just feels like this game is not going to end 2-1.
No, if this game ends 2-1, I'll be drastically surprised given some of the defensive instability we have seen from both sides so far. It's been really open. It's been lots and lots of really good offense. Like I said, that aggressive Sharks forecheck is really making a big difference here. I'll be interested to see whether the Bees try and adopt a similar mentality going forward, because actually it's really paying off for the Sharks. They've seen that they do get a little bit antsy at the back, do Solway. So the Bees, if they can find a way to make that pay, you have to think as well, with somebody like Jacob Ranson, one of the better forechecking forwards in the league on the roster, is there a potential chance to use him to cause a bit of chaos in the same way that Torrin Anderson and Callum Boyd have been used in this first period by the Sharks?
Well, we'll find out that in about 15 minutes' time. We'll be back with you in the second period break. Well, with the second period after the break. Go get yourself a drink if you're watching the Peckish Cafe, or if you're just watching it at home, make yourself a cuppa. See you in a bit. Welcome back to the hangar at the start of the second period. One quick one. Penalties timed at 20 minutes on the Solway Sharks. Number 12, Kel Beattie. On the Berkshire Bees, number 74, Liam Morris. Both received 2 minutes for what can best be described as excessive cuddling. Shots on goal in that first period. There were 14 on Max Wright, 11 on Jordan Marr for the Sharks. 2 goals for Callie Robertson after Ralph Sesenis gave the Bees the lead. And Anthony, the Sharks, that first period, much the better team, much more aggressive, much more intent in what they were doing.
Definitely, yeah, intent's a word I use a lot when you and I are on commentary, and it's a word I use an awful lot, but it's hard to disagree. The Bees, if anything, looked much more comfortable on the penalty kill than they have going forward 5-on-5. They've had a couple of moments, there's been a couple of moments where they've stretched the Sharks' defence, made it very difficult for them, because the Sharks, defensively not the most confident size like we talked about earlier, only playing 4 defensemen tonight, so just rotating continuously the 2 pairs. But the second period now, we talked about, they've seen what the Sharks do with that really aggressive forecheck. Will the Bees adapt and adjust? I feel that they kind of have to. What they've tried in the first period has not worked. It didn't work. What they tried last week against Telford didn't work. The first 20 minutes of tonight's game, well, yes, they do have a goal, but the Sharks are making more and more inroads, and you feel like there needs to be if not a physical response, at least some sort of response in kind from the Bees. They kind of need to stand up to the Sharks a bit more and make their lives a bit more difficult. They're moving the puck far too easily.
Elsewhere in the league, quickly, just before the second period puck drop starts, it is Milton Keynes Lightning. We now know it's 2-0. That's just gone in before Nick could update it, so apologies on that one. Hull Seahawks 2, Sheffield Steel Dogs 0. The Solway Sharks lead 3-1 apparently. Nick. Telford 4, Bristol 3 at the end of the first. Quick, hide the evidence.
They will not be arguing in Peckish about that one.
Sharks with the puck. Arsenault finds Danskin. Fired cross ice just behind Dunbar. Collected by Gardner. Poked away by Kelly. These will go the other way. Ballas drops it off to Mogg. Shot fired wide. Stead reacts first. Gets there ahead of Danskin. Drops it off to Gardner. Gardner just rushes it up the ice, and Gardner is in the other way. Gardner 2-on-1. Despairing dive, and that one pings iron and goes up and out of play.
Well, very nearly the end of that scoring drought for Nolan Gardner, only denied by the metalwork in the end there, just willfully forcing his way up the corner past everybody. The defenseman diving across, and we'll say that put him off as much as anything else. But yeah, much like the first period as well, that early chance for the Sharks in the first, another early chance in the second, and now offensive zone pressure again for Martin Grubb's side.
Win the draw. Young turns, fires. That was off a stick in front. Rebound carries it to Boyd. Right, forced into another save. Young with another chance. That one's blocked in front. Rossbottom catching that one rather painfully. He's had a bit of bad luck this year with blocking shots and causing himself injuries. Thrown cross ice. Boyd gets her ahead of Cathcart. Boyd to the front of the net. Cross ice pass is blocked once again by Rossbottom.
Last-ditch defending from the Bees here, but it's working out for them at the moment.
Arsenault thrown cross ice. The bounce takes it through everyone. Boyd will get there ahead of Rose. Young loses out. Collected there by the trailing man. Kerr. Thrown down low. O-ring around the boards. Alderson spins away from the defenseman. And again from Nags. Sharks can't complete the set. Sesenis will help it on its way out the zone. Young, who's back there playing D on this shift, gets a bump from Sesenis. He gives him a whack back. At the other end, Mason Alderson's trying to put on another highlight reel, and this time it comes off. There's goal number 3 for the Sharks, 21-40, and goal number 20 for Mason Alderson.
Well, he's tried a few fancy things in the first period, tried between the legs, didn't come off, tried a few different things and didn't come off. And well, I'm not sure it's the third or the fourth time, but it was certainly the charm. Dances through, outweights Max Wright, draws the keeper down, has all the space and time in the world to fire into. And well, Nick apparently producing it with a bit of a premonition at the beginning of the period there. There's the third goal.
Told you that was your fault. Sharks win the draw. Chipped on the head by Connor Henderson. Wright thinks about it, leaves it for Mogg. Only finds Scott Henderson. This relentless Sharks forecheck is not going to give up anytime soon.
Which, when you consider how short that bench is as well, it's a fantastic amount of fitness that you need to have to be able to play this kind of way with so few guys.
Pass from Kelly's picked off by Arsenault. Coulter over the line. Alderson from Young and Kerr, the Sharks' third goal. Chips on ahead, Wilson. Can't clear again. Bouncing puck collected by Scott Henderson, just fired into the zone. Mogg is there first. Spins away from Robertson. That pass not to tape. Neither's that one, to be fair. Kelly will win the foot race ahead of Dunbar. Icing is called on that one. And we'll go all the way back. 2:41 gone in the second.
Yes, not the smoothest passage of play that we've just witnessed there from anybody. The puck allergic to stick tape there for a few moments on either side. But what can the Bees do? They need to make something of this moment of offensive zone pressure.
Morris and Beattie return to the game as the Sharks win the draw. Goodbye. Down low to Stead behind the net. Looks for an option. Will go past Arsenault. Leaves it for Nags. Nags turns, fires. That one just goes through everyone. Balaz gets there first ahead of Arsenault, wins the puck battle, tries to find Goodbye, stick in the lane from Kerr, breaks it up, Sharks the other way. Dunbar off to Robertson, drops it back off to the Canadian, tries to find Gardner. That one a little too far away from his reach. Still manages to get a shot on goal. He takes a bump into the boards. Bees the other way. Offside is called. Goodbye jumping the gun on the Stead rush. And will stay in the neutral zone.
Will Stead looking to the heavens there, and you can't blame him. He finally gets to get his feet underneath him, gets his legs moving, and they can't even get into the zone on in the appropriate way. Puck back outside again, and yeah, the Bees need a bounce.
Sharks are getting them all at the moment. Alderson into the zone, quickly pushed away. Beattie fired over to Danskin. Tipped up ice by Alderson. Right, leaves it to Mogg. Up the far side wall, Balaz. Chips on ahead, not near a black shirt. Into the corner it goes. Danskin away from Stead. As Stead is taken out by Goodbye. Mogg there to collect the loose puck. Stead up the near side wall. Fired into the corner. Danskin loses out to Goodbye. Goodbye finds the trailing forward in Will Stead, forces a save out of Marr. Puck collected by Balaz. Drops off to Kelly. Cycle down low to Goodbye, can't get it under control. Has to go and fetch it. Two Sharks with him for company as the Bees change. Puck still tricks his way to Balaz. Kelly not on the back, forehand that time again. Balaz runs into Mason Alderson. And the Sharks will clear. Young off a linesman, unfortunately, but Alderson is allowed to react first to it. Carried over the line. Offside as the Sharks go for a change. 4:45 to go. There's a couple of little niggly moments going on here as well, which feels a little unnecessary if you're the Sharks when you're 3-1 up. The Bees obviously trying to draw them into not a hockey game, I think is the best way of describing it.
Well, I think as well that from a Sharks perspective, you kind of do need to respond to those kind of things as well to show that actually, because the one thing you don't want to allow the Bees to do is to establish a dominant physical edge, which the Bees haven't managed to do. They've managed to win a few ball battles here and there, but a lot of the time Sharks have managed to get really, really good positioning and be able to kind of get out of situations. So yes, there are a few bits and pieces happening, but ultimately I think these two sides are going to kind of cancel each other out. Neither known for particularly being big sort of physical sides that kind of get into that kind of thing, irrespective of what did happen last night in Dumfries.
Puck held down low, finally knocked loose. Rossbottom brings it out of the pile, chipped up ice. Now we'll just find Arsenault in his own blue line. Skates backwards, creates the pocket of space for Joey Coulter. Coulter on the wheel, finds Anderson. Chipped off the boards to Arsenault, evades the hit from Dan Rose. Still up ahead, Coulter at the other end of the ice now. Runs into Josh Kelly and loses the puck. Rossbottom finds Sesenis. Kerr takes it off his stick, Coulter the other way. From the goal line to the front of the net, that one no shot there. High bouncing puck in the air, clears the blue line. Henderson and Rossbottom are coming together, and chips on ahead by the Bees. Bees have gone for a change. That one feels risky, but they'll get away with it on that occasion. Henderson just helps it on its way. Right, out of his net to play it. Finds Wilson. Brings himself into a little bit of trouble, so Sesenis helps it clear. He's will try and finish that change as Beattie gets the puck. Pressured by Josh Smith. Sharks quite happy to just kill a few seconds behind their own net. Beattie brings it out. Chipped on ahead by Dunbar. Ranson gets there first, loses out. Help on its way. Just clears the blue line.
All very scrappy in here for the last few seconds. Somebody's got to get this puck clear and get it moving.
Well, the Sharks get it clear. Beattie will find Gardner. Dunbar can't get under control of the far side wall. Chance for the Bees to break. That pass very wayward. Danskin collects. Good read there from Liam Morris. Chance in front, and Gabai puts it wide. Stead with it, fired towards goal. Good touch from Kel Beattie. All those games of one touch finally paying off. Gardner gets round Nags brilliantly, I must admit. Cuts inside again. That one's a bit too hard off the skate of Scott Henderson. Bees the other way, thrown towards goal. Marr plays it out to Danskin. Spins away from Gabai.
Liam Danskin's been winning a lot of those positional battles with Dom Gabai this evening. It's been a really, really good performance from him so far.
Beattie bumps off the puck by Stead. That pass blocked by Young. Mob turns, fires off of Ballas. Gabai tries to get one on the forehand. A lovely little move. He loses the handle. Under pressure from Young. Stead plays it off of Young. Finds Ballas again. Shot comes off the skate of Marr and rolls up him and over the other side. Sharks can try and break the other way. Good work from Cathcart. Stops Scott Henderson on the rush.
As you say, there's a lot of little off the puck bits and pieces starting to happen now. Both sides are going to need to be careful here because someone's going to take a silly penalty they don't need to take.
Icing is called. We come all the way back. 11:20 remaining in the second period.
Yeah, apologies if anybody heard some of the
delightful language.
Yes, insistent adult tone from one of the players there, because I certainly heard it up here in the commentary position. Been a bit better from the Bees. They've started to put a bit more pressure on, force Solway onto the back foot a little bit.
Coulter wins the draw. Danskin gets a lucky bounce off the glass, keep that in play. Battle by the Bees bench. Finally brought out the pile by Rose. Good poke check by Coulter. Rose has no other option just to throw it into the corner. Sesenis can't quite get on that one. Mitchell finds Beattie. Fired cross ice. That will find Josh Kelly, whose return serve is not quite up to it. Shot from Boyd is wider than nil on this occasion. Sesenis over the blue line. Waits for help. Tries to find a trailing D-man. That's brilliantly picked off by Boyd.
So we just wait for the next sort of moment. The ideas are certainly there for the Bees, but the Sharks have done really, really well about just reading everything that's coming their way.
Chip and chase by the Sharks, and they will get on the end of it. Fan pass there on that occasion. That finds way back to Arsenault at the blue line. Shot from the point, saved by Wright. He'll hold on. Just halfway gone in the game.
Yeah, good chance there, as you can see. Just simple stuff, sort of moving the puck around, and Marcus Mitchell coming in just to make sure that the man in front of Max Wright doesn't get any ideas above his station. Yes, Solway, I feel like they slowed ever so slightly. It was much more pacey first period, and I don't know whether this is potentially any energy conservation or what. But they don't feel like they've been quite as quick in terms of their coming forward on the players they have in this frame than they were in the first.
You feel the Bees will be able to pick up on that and maybe push the pace themselves a bit as Liam Morris takes things into his own hands, gets straight at Arsenault. Lovely little move to get around Gardner. Picks up training forward. Brilliant block in front by John Dunbar.
This is what the Sharks have been very, very good at defensively tonight. It's just reading the situations where they seem to have slowed down going forward. At the back, they're still doing a pretty decent job of kind of figuring out what the Bees are going to do.
Ransom out of the corner. Gets tied up. Puck goes to Kerr. Robertson. Fanned on the pass, but somehow that almost works out to Dunbar's favour. Poke check from Nags finds Morris. Floated up ice. Arsenault plays it before the goal line. There's no icing on that one. Through the legs of Boyd. Collected by Nags again. Poked off a stick by Arsenault, who for the second time tonight takes a tumble. Kerr away from Balaz. Gardner winds up, fires. That one sticked aside by Wright. Sharks with it again. Boyd easing his way through the Bees forward line there. Luckily can't get through the third one. Still able to get the puck back off Mogg.
It was a bit of a skate to nowhere for Callum Boyd. It all looked very, very fancy, but there's not much in the way of direction as to him actually going anywhere. Sort of went sideways rather than forwards.
Balaz over the blue line, away from Alderson. Off the skate of Beattie. Alderson on clean-up duty, will clear. Sharks the other way, Young. Draws a man across, that one fired into the glove of Wright and bounces out. Luckily, no damage done there for the Bees. Go the other way though, Balaz. Drop pass is to no one again. Boyd carries over the blue line, gets trucked by Stuart Mogg, and no penalty called again. No, the penalty is called on this occasion, so the Bees will get on the man advantage. Delayed penalty coming. Mogg over the blue line, Balaz ahead. Tries to help it on its way. Finally touched up by the Sharks, and the Bees will head to the man advantage. 32-30 the time of the penalty. Callum Boyd looks like he's going to head to the box. I'm going to guess for a holding.
Which is interesting there, as I felt that Stuart Mogg was on the borderline of being called there as well, because whilst he's run the man over, he's then pushed him down and held him down. There's a definite hint of interference as to what the Bees captain was doing. Well, but I said the Bees needed a bounce. Is this that bounce?
It needs to be. There's no signal being given, so 2 minutes for Callum Boyd. The Bees get their first man advantage of the evening. 38 goals on the season, 21.71 success rates. The Sharks on a penalty kill have given up 46 goals on the year, 72.29 success rate. And to use a line I used last week, it's the stoppable force versus the movable object who wins. Ballas back to the blue line. Goodbye. Shot through traffic, deflected wide of the net. Rossbottom will go and collect. Finds Ballas. Holding the stick is the call. Goodbye again. Winds up. Fakes out Coulter. Ballas winds up, fires. Brilliant block in front from Arsenault. And the Sharks will go the other way. Olivier Arsenault with acres of space gets stopped by Dom Goodbye. Rossbottom helps the puck into the zone. He's got Danskin for company. Arsenault on the back check, helping his fellow D-man out. Puck finds Sesenis. Over to Rossbottom, back high, Goodbye. He's out of position on this draw. Goodbye with a shot, takes a deflection in front, but Marr holds on.
Ultimately, that shot being teed up for the coach, and he's Marr able to see it all the way through traffic. Yeah, a great chance there. Short-handed to try and do something, Arsenault, but in some ways, whilst you're glad it's out of the zone, you don't necessarily want your defenseman to have that opportunity.
Shots from the draw, but still able to get there ahead of Arsenault on this occasion. Around the horn it starts to move. Goodbye to Ballas. Trying to draw Shark out of position, not a lot of joy here. Ballas' entire lap takes a shot, that one's off the stick of Marr and wide. Instead tied up by Anderson. All the Bees swarming on the puck. Ballas finds Rossbottom. Back to Goodbye at the blue line, running the point. Shot through traffic, that one's off the blocker of Marr. 38 seconds left on the man advantage. Held in the corner, finally brought out. Rossbottom. Pulled down by Arsenault. Sesenis. Wheels, finds an angle, and off the glove of Marr. And Sesenis gets his second of the night. 34.07, and goal number 7 on the season.
We said that the Bees needed that, and get it they did. A bit of a fortunate deflection off of the glove of Jordan Marr, as we can see on the replay. And just that little bit of space opened up, and there's almost Arsenault's almost skating in front of the sight of Marr. Manages to snap it short side, catches a piece of the glove and goes in. Doesn't matter how pretty it is, it just matters that it's in. 1 goal game, and the Bees can try and push on from here.
Sharks win the draw. Beatty. That pass through too many human beings. Smith gets centre ice, fires it into the zone. Gets in at the blue line. Nags. Wilson. Back to Nags. Beatty can't clear. Sesenis from Stead and Rossbottom, the Bees' second goal of the night. Wilson brings it out the pile down low. Backdoor chance, that one gongs Marr on the mask. Nags down in the corner. Liam Morris's slap shot is the one that Jordan Marr ends up wearing on this occasion. Young will clear. Morris is there to collect the puck. Morris, lovely little move. Down in front, big save, Jordan Marr. Hallam Wilson with the chance. And Marr sticks out her left leg and says no. Wilson. Hanson will hold it in the corner. 4.5 to go in period number 2. Morris and Boyd are exchanging pleasantries in the centre ice. Back in the corner we go. Morris and Boyd still go once more.
Friendliness, as they call it in Scotland.
Sharks bringing out the pile. Morris gets there ahead of Alderson. Alderson tries to chuck the Bees D-man, and Morris, in his usual way, just laughs it off. Beatty. Clearance not controlled by Nags. That'll trickle through to Max Wright. Bees the other way. Long cross-ice pass onto the stick of Will Stead. Drops it off for Ballas. That one off the shoulder of Marr on this occasion. Good hit from Boyd again. Able to knock Ballas off the puck. Bouncing puck, almost wrong foot, Marr. Holy moly. Olivier Arsenault, Johnny on the spot. Always beware the bouncy boards. Big hit from Arsenault on goodbye there. I must say, nothing in it for me really there.
Normally, I have to confess, I know the home fans want a penalty, but I'm not sure what you'd call there.
Stretch pass up ice, finds Balaz over the blue line again. Poked away by Arsenault, not too far though. Balaz to the front of the net off the side of it as he tries to backhand it near side on Mar. Balaz loses out to Gardner again, goodbye with the hit, but it springs Robertson, 2 on 3 the other way. Robertson with the shot, that one's off the blocker right and into the corner. Puck thrown in front, the trailing man saved by Wright again. 3 minutes to go in period number 2. But he's looking for an option, that one's immediately broken up by Dunbar. Pass finds Gardner, shot save Wright.
A nice attempt from Gardner there, and he just didn't manage to get any real height on the shot, so it was easy for Wright to stick the leg pad out on it.
Danskin back to collect the puck, the Bees go for a change. Long stretch pass, tipped on ahead. Battling the corner, Morrison Alderson once again making friends. I think it's the best way we can describe it. Puck in front to Alderson, tries to find space. 3 black shirts around him, shot fired wide. Bees collect and will just clear the zone.
The intensity feels like it's gone up here in the last couple of minutes. Both sides feel like they can get something out of it. The Bees are playing with a lot more confidence than they had in the first 34, 35 minutes of this game.
Morris round the boards will find Sesenis. That pass broken up and broken up again. Dumped into the corner. Scott Henderson throws it out into no man's land. Nags collects. Chipped it to Rossbottom. Bees can break the other way. Dan Rose over the blue line. Finds over to Sesenis. Sesenis shot saved by Mark. Danskin takes the hit from Rose. Sesenis tries to find Rossbottom, only finds the boards. Proper end-to-end hockey now. 90 seconds remaining in period number 2. The Bees carrying out the zone. Morris thrown towards goal, sticked into the corner by Marr. Sesenis tries to get away from Stuart Kerr. Rossbottom at the pile. Gets an angle. Marr covers up eventually. Rossbottom, I should say, brilliantly tied up by Kel Beattie to prevent any kind of shot. Marr reacts quick enough to cover up. 1:15 remaining.
Quick enough. He almost wrong-footed himself there. Did Jordan Marr. That puck was coming towards him at such a slow speed. He wasn't quite sure what to do with it with himself there. But this has been a lot better from the Bees. That second goal has sparked a little bit of a fire. One thing that seems to be happening as well a bit more. Solway are looking to the officials for calls and things that they haven't called all evening. They've got to stop worrying so much. You can see there's a conversation happening at the Solway bench that we can see from our vantage point. Mr. Irons having to explain a few bits and pieces. They're clearly not happy. I'd argue they're potentially worrying about the wrong thing. Don't worry about the calls that the refs aren't calling. Worry about the ones that they do, because they can't control that part. They've let the Bees back into this game when the Solway were firmly in control of it for a large chunk.
Well, they'll get another chance here. Dunbar over the blue line, fired across. Robertson with the shot, saved by Wright, bounces loose. Kerr with a chance into the glove of Max Wright, and he'll hold on.
Well, Stuart Kerr does live in Solway Sharks folklore for that goal in the 2023 North One Cup final. Not to be on this evening for him with that one. That's the sort of angle and height that Max Wright sort of eats for his breakfast most of the time.
Sharks win the draw. Dunbar fired through the slot out the other side. Arsenault collects. Fired on goal by Dunbar again. Pushed out to the slot. Bees with a chance to break. Little chip and chase by Stead. He feels he's been interfered with. Nothing doing for me on that one. Goodbye. Fired cross ice. Ballas shot saved by Jordan Marr. Dunbar can't clear the zone. Will get another chance now as it's given straight back to him off the glass. Gardner at the other end drops it off for Arsenault. No one picking up the trailing man, but it misses Dunbar as Kerr collects. Fired around the zone. Stead will be given the loose puck. And looks like they're going to try and hold it in the corner and kill the rest of the period. Maybe a chance for one shot if they can get it out quick, but it's not going to happen. And through 40 minutes, we're still at a 1-goal game. The Sharks extended the lead thanks to another goal on the night. This time coming from Mason Alderson with a lovely finish. Max Wright, as Anthony said, what felt like the third or fourth chance he's had. Rouse Senis on the power play brings it back to 1. The Bees maybe edging the final 6 minutes of that period, but they need to be a lot, well, more aggressive in the third. The Sharks have been far too dominant on the forecheck. They maybe sat back a little in the latter half of that period and gave Bees the time and space. But the Bees, it goes back to the same thing. It's not being clinical enough in front of the net with the chances, and Jordan Marr has been very on it.
He has been on it, but it's also been quite scrappy on the back end from the Sharks as well. We've seen there a couple of times, little sort of little wobbles, little bits from Marr where he's perhaps gone for something before it was actually there to kind of go for it in that sense. That second goal for the Bees just kind of kicked them into life a little bit. They looked much more like they felt that they believed they could actually do something with the game. And the Sharks looked like they'd had the wind knocked out of them. They were sitting back, they weren't pushing forward as hard, they weren't being as aggressive, and it really, really showed because the Bees realised that there was space to do something with. Ultimately, in the end, though, Marr has made a couple of absolute cast iron quality saves right at the death there, and the Sharks have probably been the better side overall through 40 minutes, but the end of that second period shows that they cannot slack off, especially given the fact they just need any points on the board at all right now.
Well, Sharks fans, get your phones ready. It's going to be the man and a match vote starting at the end of at the start of the third period. We'll have more information on that after the break. We'll see you in about 15 minutes' time. Welcome back here to the hangar for the start of the third and possibly final period of tonight's game, where it's the Berkshire Bees 2, the Solway Sharks 3. Shots on goal in that second period. There were 14 on Max Wright, 13 on Jordan Marr. Mason Alderson pulling off the highlight reel goal for goal number 3 for the Sharks. Rouse Senis capitalising on the power play for the Bees to make it a one-goal game. We're going to talk about this one in a minute. Here's the scores from elsewhere because I need Anthony to say the line live on air in front of the hundreds and hundreds of people watching around the world. It is Milton Keynes Lightning 5, the Swindon Wildcats 0 in the third. The end of the second, it's the Hull Seahawks 3, the Sheffield Steel Dogs 3. So the Bees 2, Solway Sharks 3. The Leeds Knights have won the National League Cup, beating Romford 4-1 on the night, 8-6 on aggregate. And it is currently in the second period. The Telford Tigers 9, the Bristol Pitbulls 5. Anthony Russell.
Why defend when you can not defend?
14 goals in 40 minutes.
I think that's what they call value for money. The thing, of course, we should say, congratulations to the Knights on winning the cup. Commiserations to Romford. It was a hell of a run, and obviously the Raiders fans got their moment last night. But as I say quite a lot, it's another one of my lines. The Leeds Knights are relentless. They will not be stopped, and eventually they found a way to get the one that had gotten away from them so many times before. Congrats to Ryan Aldrich, Kieran Brown, and the rest of the Knights roster. Well, here there's still playoff implications on the line. The Sharks with the lead, they'll be not quite so happy with the Bristol Pitbulls. They're giving up 9 in 37 minutes. Tommy Napier pulled after 26 of those. So apologies there for that one. But here, it's all in their own hands. It's 3-2. They've looked very good for, well, about 34 minutes. They maybe took their foot off the gas a little bit just before the Bees' goal went in. And now it's a case of, we questioned it in that second, are they just conserving energy for this third period, knowing the Bees are going to have to come out and get them now, or are they starting to run on empty? Well, certainly the end of that period, I'm not so sure whether it was energy conservation. They just looked like they didn't know what to do. They kind of fell back, were being pushed onto the back foot. The Bees had that little bit of extra confidence. But as you say, the biggest issue here is the Bees have played for about 5-6 minutes, whereas Solway have been in more of the game for longer. They gave them, the Bees effectively gave the Sharks a 35-minute head start, which you can't do when you need to get a lot of points very, very quickly. We've wondered whether the Bees will start to push forward more, and actually they found at the end of that last period that they could get results and they could get stuff going if they did. The question is, of course, if the Sharks start as quickly in the third as they have in the first and second, how will the Bees respond, knowing that they themselves have to push forward? There's gaps to be exploited here from the faster skaters on both sides.
The Bees are chasing the game. I feel there are pockets everywhere with the Sharks. With this two-man forecheck they've got, there is a lot of space through the middle of the ice that the Bees are just not exploiting at the moment. It's all very much playing up the boards, and we saw it with Telford last week. They're quite happy, the Sharks, to sit back and just keep the Bees out from high danger area chances and just push them into the corners.
And that Sharks forecheck as well. Sometimes they've played it as the two-man forecheck. Sometimes they've gone 1-1-3 and kind of had that sort of secondary man hold back just a little bit in case the pass comes quickly up the boards to come across and cover. But yeah, the Bees have just not quite done the same thing, and I think it feels like a strange tactic. For me, in this third period, given the fact that the Sharks have run two defensive pairings the entire night, only the 4D men, for me now is the time to really, really test the cardio of that Sharks defence. Put some pucks in, get in quick, put it behind them, try and skate in and see what you can do with it. Because ultimately, you've got two pairings. That's a lot of ice time to have to cover. And it's a small pad, but they've been made to work very hard. Can they force an error? The Bees have 20 minutes to get something out of this game.
James Irons calls them in. We are underway with period number 3 as the Sharks win the opening draw. Quick one, Preston Toms obviously not icing here. We only found that out because we thought he was on the game sheet. We were told he was on the game sheet. And of course, he's gone and scored for Streatham. And another quick one just to say, at the end of the second, it's now Telford 10, Bristol 5. Stead over the blue line. Tries to drop it off for Balaz. No one there. Brilliant defensive work from the Sharks again. Stead keeps it just inside the zone.
Great work by Will Stead there to walk the line.
Cathcart loses out on that occasion. Sharks will look to clear off the boards. Lovely little flick through the zone. Shot fired wide of the net. Wright was puck watching as Gardner went for the rebound.
Nice bit of work by Nolan Gardner there, but again, no dice against Max Wright.
Stead will try and carve his way through two Sharks. Able to get there, runs into a little bit of trouble. Morris. Pass blocked, Sharks will clear, and it's a foot race to the puck. It's won by Callum Boyd. Boyd winning through the zone. Puck finds his way past Alderson. Morris. That's poor, and that had to be worked well by Wright. He goes to the poke away from Nags. Boyd collects and runs into Dan Rose. Alderson tries to spin away from Rose. Bouncing off some skates, Alderson turns and fires right out of his net to settle it down and leave it for Morris. Morris off the near side wall. Off a skate in front of Stuart Kerr.
No immediate high danger chance for the Sharks in the first sort of minute and 55 seconds of this period, so that's immediately better from the Bees to start the third than the first two frames.
Rossbottom picks the pocket of BT, will dump it on ahead and chase himself. Kerr is the first man there. Puck off of one of the doors down low in the corner. Sharks will throw it into no man's land. Kelly is there ahead of Henderson. Pinned against the Sharks bench, finally knocked loose. Right in the first stoppage in this period. Mitchell leaves it for Goodbye. Away from Connor Henderson and away from Scott Henderson. Goodbye tries to crash in the front of the net. That's an awkward landing for the coach. Penalty is called on that one. But obviously the main hope is that Dom Goodbye is all right as he takes a tumble into the net.
Yeah, just a pause here in, as we can see, when it goes to crash the net and
shoulder into post on that occasion.
Yeah, and the penalty's been called as well, so the Bees are going to head to the power play momentarily, but the Bees coach just taking his time. He's now on all fours at least, having been on his side on the ice, so he's but understandably moving very, very gingerly.
Tripping call has been signalled, 42-40 on the Sharks. Now that does give me enough time while there is a little pause to say, if you're watching, say, at home or in a cafe above an ice rink, get your phones out and ready. You're picking man of the match for both teams. Scan this QR code at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Pick the man of the match for both the Bees and the Sharks from the 4 players on the list. Any and all complaints, you know where to send them by now. They make us pick them at the end of the second period. It's very hard to narrow it down to 4 or expand it to 4 some nights. Please vote for both teams. So Sharks fans, pick the Bees man of the match as well. Bees fans, pick the Sharks man of the match as well. Using that QR code there, that will take you to both pages. You do not need anything to be eligible to vote. As Dom Goodbye is up on his feet and skating to the bench, Olivier Arsenault will sit 2 for tripping.
Yeah, certainly Arsenault was not happy about that call, feeling that Goodbye kind of lost an edge as much as anything else. But it's not much of an argument, all things considered from Arsenault.
Here is the replay of that. Again, Arsenault also tries to close the angle off.
And his stick makes very clear contact with his skate, and he falls down. So you can argue it. You can certainly try it. You can certainly try to argue it, and we will almost respect you for doing so. It's a trip. It's a trip on this occasion, unfortunately for Olivier Arsenault. So an extra 2 minutes in his penalty column, and we will continue. Dom Goodbye not happy with something.
Goodbye, I think, has been told also because there has been a physio on the ice.
He has to come off, yeah.
Which is why Stuart Mogg is currently stood right next to the bench door, because as soon as the puck is dropped, they can swap, and have done. Sharks win the draw. Puck is cleared. That's off the skate of Goodbye, and will trickle into the corner. Goodbye. Fires over to Balaz. Gardner bearing down, and Balaz gets past on this occasion. Escorted wide by Beattie. Wheel through the zone, Torrens fires. Shot saved by Marr. Rebound. It's been waved off. And we think of this occasion, it's over to Nick. Well, there's the aftermath, and I think that's been brilliantly kept out by Jordan Marr again.
Yeah, no clear evidence of that puck has crossed all of the line. Jordan Marr, it's not even so much of a snow angel. He's just laid down in the most advantageous place and kept that one out there.
Jordan Marr going for a nap. The Bees win the draw. Sisenis finds Balaz at the blue line. Balaz able to draw a man out of position. He'll crash the net again. Shot saved by Marr. Sharks cleared into the corner. The whistle has gone as Marr's mask has come off.
Well, he's shaken that off. He's literally shaken his mask off his head there, I think, potentially because there was some contact. There was some contact with it, which, given the fact that reportedly, of course, this happened to him last night as well, where he obviously sparked the earnest discussions at the end of the second period in the game between the Sharks and the Hull Seahawks. Jordan Marr, somewhat understandably, having a little bit of hair trigger in terms of contact with his marks of any description. But yes, he did the Taylor Swift there and shook it right off.
Poor by your standards.
I know, I'm not that big of a Taylor Swift fan, but you've got to keep it relevant, I'm told.
Sharks win the draw. Chipped clear and out the zone. I must admit, Andrew, I've seen your message. No, he isn't, but I did almost put Bobby Chamberlain on there for you. Goodbye. Taken down by Anderson on that occasion. That one very much a case of losing an edge. Fired back to Rossbottom. Rossbottom with a shot. Saved by Marr again. Bouncing puck. Sharks will clear. Minute left on the Arsenault minor.
It's all getting a bit scrambly from that Sharks penalty kill. The Bees need to try and stretch it again and take advantage.
Right, long pass up ice to Stead at centre ice. He is immediately forced to turn back. It's brilliant penalty killing from the Sharks. Goodbye. Wheels through centre ice. Turns back, fires and finds Rossbottom. Thrown down low, batted out the sky on that occasion. Beast still with it. Cycle around the horn and Goodbye. Tip in front, rebound loose, scrambled home! Marcel Balaz ties the game, 44-13. Goal number 29 of the season.
Well, just after I said that they needed to stretch that Sharks defence, they had a little bit of a pushback from Torren Anderson, but ultimately the Bees have managed to strike because they kept pushing forward. When they've done that, the Sharks have not known what to do when been forced onto the back foot. Will Stead there doing a good job of screening in front. Marr unable to make clean contact on the puck, and it sat up in front, and Marcel Balaz does not miss from that kind of distance. Tie game with 15:47 to go.
We say tie game, there's a conversation going on. I believe the conversation will be on high sticks. Nick, can we have a look again? Obviously, we have the benefit of replay. No VAR in the National League just yet. We can look from the other end. The goal is given. It's going to be at this point there.
It's Wilstead tipping it down is the potential conversation piece.
It's
borderline.
It's one of those ones where it's...
I can see why the referees have allowed that one to stand.
You'd need to get like a spirit level on the bar.
Yes. we're not going into the VAR standard of, you know, your sock, half your sock being offside.
Dunbar with the puck. Drops it off. Gardner in front, and that one trickles in. Callie Robertson with the hat-trick, and all 3 goals from a combined 3 feet out. Robertson's 10th of the year, 44-36, and just as quick as we're tied up, the Sharks take the lead again.
The Bees so often this season have been the architects of their own downfall. Robertson unopposed at the top of the crease. Josh Smith can't get back in time to make enough of a challenge. And as you say, well, Callie Robertson doing his best impression of Gary Lineker, top of the crease, with 3 goals from a combined total of about the height of a school child at this point. He doesn't have to score them from far out, but it's 4-3 Solway.
Keep it relevant when you bring up a striker from Young Tees.
I'm that old. I can make a Gary Lineker reference. And you can't say that we don't offer a breadth of stuff for the differing generations.
Cathcart drops it off for Rossbottom through the painted area and out the other side. Sharks will break, and here they come at speed. Dunbar drops it off. Gardner back in front, and almost a 4 for Robertson. Dunbar tries to bank it in off right shoulder, and Cathcart will clear. That evades Danskin at the blue line. Sesenis knocks him off the puck. Gardner is there to collect.
Danskin looking in some discomfort there after that hit from Ralph Sesenis.
Sharks over the blue line again. Shot from a tight angle, saved by Wright again. Arsenault doing it all himself, collects the puck. Back to the blue line. Shot comes in, saved by Wright. Rebound collected by Rose. Sesenis collects. Lovely little move to get through too. Loses the handle on the puck. Shot on goal. Saved by Moran wide. B down behind the net. Another call for a penalty wanted there. Not doing. Sharks the other way. That one is going to be very offside, so they have to check back with Alderson. Right out of his net. Sells it down for Morris. Morris, chip and chase himself. Will try and get round Beattie. Does on this occasion, finds Ballas in front! That is lovely from the Bees! Well, here we go again. 46-04 and goal number 30 on the season for Marcel Ballas, all made by Liam Morris.
We talked before the puck drop for the third period of the Bees trying to use that bit of speed behind a tiring Sharks defence, and then Marcel Ballas has just absolutely stick-handled his way around Jordan Marr, left him absolutely with no hope and no prayer. Tie game again, and we wondered whether there'd be another 6-5. It's on with just under 14 minutes to play. A fantastic response to the Bees, having scored and then immediately gone behind. They haven't sat back. They didn't let their heads drop. They kept pushing, and the results have come again.
Marcel Ballas watching Mason Alderson's goal in the second went, that looks fun, let me have a go. Chipped into the corner by Mitchell.
Talent borrows, genius steals, as I like to say.
Played in the corner. Ballas unable to clear that one. Henderson will clear it the long way up ice. Mitchell will get there and get the icing call.
The game has got very open very, very quickly, and the spaces are starting to be exploited. But yeah, that goal for Blash, all made by the persistence of Liam Morris. Like I said, put the puck behind the D, a D that was obviously a man down as well. Now Danskin going off with a bit of discomfort, and Morris wins the foot race behind a D that's starting to tire. Gives it to Balaj, and well, yes, Marcel Balaj is known to like to try a few things.
Mogg, shot from the blue line, snap saved by Marr, rebound again, and shoveled home! Dom Gabai gives the Bees the lead for the first time tonight. 46-33 in goal number 24 as the Bees somehow lead 5-4.
Persistence has paid off again for the Bees. And the Sharks defence is starting to look like it's running out of steam and ideas. It sits up very, very kindly for the coach as Stuart Mogg puts it on net.
Timeout Sharks.
And it looked, yes, as I say, Solway doing the right thing at the moment and taking the timeout. They were in control of this game for massive, massive swaths of the first 2 periods, and now they are behind. We're into this is Marie Antoinette territory in terms of head loss from the Sharks. They just need to settle things down. The timeout, the right call to make.
Goal number 4 for the Bees. Scored Marcel Ballas, assisted Liam Morris, and Max Wright is the 4th goal. We'll wait for the 5th one.
How many points does Wright have on the season?
That is point number 2, I believe.
Given the amount of stuff the amount he's managed to do this season, you'd think he'd have more.
Don't forget, you can still vote for the man of the match. Scan this QR code. You've got until the final minute of the third, if not a little longer if we go to overtime. Yes, that's right. I said the O word. So we're back to centre ice, and somehow we're at 5-4. Sharks with it. That one's behind Dunbar, and that will spring, well, almost sprung Stuart Mobb. He decided to drop it off for Josh Smith. Goal number 5, Dom Gabai from Stuart Mogg and Marcel Balaz. Always good when you have to pick man and matches at the end of the second, and then people decide to turn up. Please don't make us do this next year. I'm talking to you, Graham, when you're watching. That one's offside. 12:55 remaining in period number 3.
Be very interested to see what that chat will have been from Martin Grubb in that timeout for the Sharks, because ultimately, yes, it's been a very, very poor 7 and a bit minutes to start this third period from the Sharks. Ultimately, they are not out of this by a long stretch, and they've already proved that they are able to get things through Max Wright. They just have to find a way just to dull the momentum.
Bit like this. Lewis Young's shot. That's brilliant work from Liam Morris on the back end. You were saying.
Nearly did it again. But yes, they just have to find a way to dull a bit of the momentum for the Bees here, and just kind of get back to what they were doing in the first 2 periods, because it was working so well. And yes, have the Sharks started to run out of steam?
Alderson takes it away from Rose. Good work from Morris to break that chance up. Gets his way through 2 Sharks again. And takes a nasty hit from Mason Alderson.
That could be a 5.
I don't usually like saying these things, but it should be.
It was, well, it's through the numbers.
It's in a dangerous position as well. Yeah. 47-45. Alderson is in the box for now, as is compulsory, while the officials chat.
But you can totally appreciate why Mason Alderson has wanted to throw the hit up the physicality a little bit, try and force a turnover, and as well as Morris is just having danced through a bunch of guys, he's slowly making his way up. And
the Bees have been given a misconduct call as well, so that might wash out some of the penalty anyway.
But certainly that's a hit through the numbers, and he sent the man face first into the boards. I think if Mason Alderson only ends up with a 2-minute mine here, I would be very, very surprised.
Well, I believe the Bees bench has been given 2 minutes for abuse of official at the same time. So they'll play eeny, meeny, miny, mo on the bench and pick someone to sit the penalty. And then we wait and see what goes on. Morris is on one knee. Morris back to his feet. Short trip to the bench. The officials still having a chat. So we're going to wait and see what goes on here.
Well, there'll be a 2-minute minor penalty for the Bees.
We think.
We believe, given the signal of the official.
Alderson has not been escorted off, so it makes me think it's going to be a 5 more than anything. It's not 5 in game, at least at the moment. The decision is being explained to Ashley Tate on the Bees bench. And of course, they will then go over and tell Martin Grubb. Mason Alderson, 5 minutes is on the clock. And the Bees will sit 2, so it will be a 2-minute abuse of official penalty. And we're going to assume it's 5 minutes for boarding here at 47-45. So a 3-minute, or 2 minutes of 4-on-4, and then a 3-minute major to kill. And we questioned silly penalties. That one felt rather silly from both sides. Obviously, the Bees have come off of it a little better, but you could have had a full 5-minute major to kill, and someone's gobbed off on the bench.
Yeah, Adam Erskine's just headed into the box there for the Bees. All that they had to do was not open their mouths, and they would have had a full 5 minutes to kind of play with there. But like you say, we get why Alderson has looked to throw the hit there. There's no issue with trying to throw the hit there, but he can see the numbers, and he can see how and the guys are a mile away from the bench. It's poor decision making in a crucial moment when you're fighting for your playoff lives. The team that's above you is winning by quite a massive distance, and that's the decision you make. It's
also going to be an interesting one for Dops in the week, I think.
Very, very much so. There is going to be a very, very earnest conversation from the game review panel to be had over the next couple of days.
4-on-4 for 2 minutes. For a 3-minute power play for the Bees. Sharks with it. Kerr. Little stop and go on Milstead. Stead is able to poke away to goodbye. He finds Mogg. Return serve, no. Well broken up by Nolan Gardner there. Sharks the other way. Over the blue line. Drops off for Gardner. Shot saved by Wright. Don't forget, you can pick your man of the match from the truly irrelevant list of players picked at 40 minutes. Scan that QR code on the screen. And please make sure to let the Bees know that it's stupid picking them after 40 minutes just so you can get fan interaction on a QR code. No, I don't blame you, Nick. Bees win the draw. Morris, who is back on his feet. Sesenis. Throws it into the corner. No one there in a black shirt.
It's interesting to think what Solway will try and do with this, because do you know that you've got a 3-minute unending penalty kill to come up? Is this an energy conservation moment, or do you try and exploit the space? Because they're still coming forward with a decent amount of speed when they do. Admittedly, doing that doesn't help.
Turnover off the skate of Dunbar. Balaz fires it off the side of the net, thrown in front to Nags. Deflected puck down low, finds Sesenis. Able to get his way out of that battle. Still with it, Sesenis. Drops it off for Balaz. Tries to spin away from a couple. And Morris down low. Nags tries to get away from Beattie. Does on that occasion. Finds Morris pinching it off the blue line over to Balaz. Fired through the painted area. Kicked away by Marr. Sharks can break. Beattie thrown towards goal. Chance! Gardner forces another save out of Wright. Off the end of the stick, I would say on that one.
Yeah, Wright's certainly managed to make some sort of contact with it, and again Nolan Gardner with a massive, massive chance, and he just can't seem to find a way to get the puck into the back of the net at the moment.
Bees back to full strength. 3 minutes to kill for the Sharks. Goodbye. Away from Robertson. Tries to draw men out of position. Arsenault lets him go round the net. Finds Stead at the point. Goodbye, winds up, fires. That one saved by Marr. Saw it late, but saw it nonetheless. Young able to clear. Lovely little move from Robertson. Forces another save from Wright. Rebound from Young. That one's off of Goodbye, unfortunately. Rossbottom the other way for the Bees. Just thrown into the corner. Arsenault will get there ahead of Stead.
Good work by Arsenault there. He's only had 2 men on him and didn't have much of a good choice, but still managed to get it away from anyone.
Balaz back to Goodbye. Sesenis down low, Rossbottom. Sesenis winds up, fires. That one's through the crease and out the other side. Minute gone. Balaz. Sharks not being drawn into anything too rash as Sesenis carries it out the zone. Quick turn and wheel round.
That was
and
offside.
Rossbottom does not get the blue line as Sesenis makes the entry. Neutral zone face off. 1:37 left on the Alderson Major.
And Sharks will take that. The Bees are going to make unforced errors in such a way. As you mentioned, though, it was the Sharks did really, really well there. At times where they've been stretched, both 5-on-5 and on the penalty kill, in terms of keeping their positioning. Kept the positioning really, really well. Didn't do anything too silly. Managed to just keep things away. And now they've just got as time is slowly ticking down, because the clock, of course, is against them.
Morris over the blue line, chip and chase again. Heavy hit on Kerr in the corner. Spins, fires, tries to find the blue line. Sharks able to clear again. Mogg gets it under control and finds Wilson. One pass up to Morris. Rose over the blue line. Smith back to Wilson. Wilson towards goal. One off the leg pad of Marr. Minute left on the Major. Shot through traffic. Marr sees it late off the tip of Smith, and he'll hold on.
Yeah, good work by this second unit for the Bees to craft themselves another chance. Good work by Helen Wilson and Josh Smith to block Jordan Mars' line of sight. Well, Jordan Mars made saves in sort of every which way direction with every which way body part so far, so managing to dive on that one.
Final score, Milton Keynes Lightning 5, Swindon Wildcats 1 in the title race. Bees with it, Ballads. Puck over to Sesenis. Down low finds Stead. No one in front of the net on this occasion. Rossbottom. Goodbye. Tries to find Stead, bounces off to Balaz. That one saved by Marr again. Sharks can break the other way. Boyd tries to find a shooting lane. Seltzer just killing a bit of time. Runs into Balaz and loses out. Rossbottom can't get the handle on that one. Sharks will dump it in right out of his net to play it. They have done a phenomenal job on this 3-minute penalty kill. Goodbye. Flipped up to Balaz. Gets it out from under his skates. Takes the blue line. Fires it into the zone. Rides the check from Lewis Young. And the Sharks return to full strength. Alderson straight out of the box. Moves out to Morris. Dumps it in. Icing is waved off. So we tick down to 7 minutes remaining in the third. Still all to play for. Mason Alderson with the silky mitt. He's done this once already. He's escorted round the back of the net this time. Drops it off. Arsenault. Tight angle shot. Saved by Will. Right, and it trickles in. Wow, what a 3 minutes for the Sharks. The big penalty kill. And Arsenault squeezes one in under the shoulder. A ride for his 7th of the year. 53-13. And it's 5-all.
Well, they lost their composure, they lost their shape, and they lost the lead, but they have played themselves back into this game. That was absolutely superb on the penalty kill from the Sharks. They rode out the pressure, they rode out the chances, managed to keep everything at bay, and then they have come down the other end, and then Olivier Arsenault has just managed to find the gap. It is, I believe his first point since the game against Bristol on the 18th of January, and it's a massive, massive goal in the race for the final playoff spot.
We will get you the replay of that goal in a minute, hopefully. Nick is working on it. He's trying to multitask and do 4 different things at once, so we will get you the replay of that shortly.
I do need to note the score.
It's not 6-5 yet. Ranson off the boards. Arsenault collects. 6:20 remaining. Chipped into the zone. Wright will settle it down and play it. Goal number 5 for the Sharks. Arsenault from Alderson and Young.
And a massive response there from Mason Alderson, having played his team into trouble and needing to kill such a massive penalty to then step out and immediately contribute.
Bees with it. Sesenis tries to hold off Scott Henderson. Finds Morris. Rose with room to manoeuvre as he gets the blue line. Dumped in. Sharks will clear. That one will be icing. Elsewhere in the league, it is the Hull Seahawks 4, the Sheffield Steel Dogs 4 in the third. And rather annoyingly, in the game that is still why defend when you cannot defend, it is now Telford 11, Bristol 6. Mitch Walensky has 4 goals for the Pitbulls.
This is feeling like last week when we were talking about Telford Tigers too, except both teams are getting the goals.
17 goals, and that one, boy am I glad I don't have to do box scores for that.
All the editing on the highlights.
True. Sharks flip it into the corner. Morris wins the race ahead of Joey Coulter. Cross ice finds Nags, who beats the pinching Connor Henderson. Into the zone, escorted wide by Kerr. Back to the blue line. Shot comes in. Tip from Rossbottom. Falls back to Rossbottom. Fired wide.
That's a big, big chance there as well. Right there on the doorstep, but Mars stood strong.
As the puck disappears into the door. Here is that Sharks' 5th goal. Arsenault with the shot. Under the left shoulder of Wright. And trickles into the back of the net. Don't forget, you can still vote for your man of the match. Don't know why. Those names are wrong now. Potentially, we've still got overtime as the Sharks force another save out of Jordan Marr.
a goal as well. It's now Hull 4, Sheffield 4, as Owen Sobchak has put the Seahawks back on level terms.
Stead around the boards, finds Gabai. Balaz stopped in his tracks by Alderson. Gabai back to Balaz. Gabai shot, that one's deflected wide of the net. Gabai wheels, that one's fired into the glove of right, he will hold on.
Good chance again then for the Bees. It's crazy to think, having watched that penalty kill and just how composed and how calm and how structured that Sharks penalty kill was. 5 on 5, they seem to be drifting all over the place. It's like flotsam and jetsam at sea at times. They just seem to be in sort of almost random positions. If they could figure out a way to do both at the same time, they'd be in a much better position.
Sharks with the puck, they will break the other way. Over the blue line comes John Dunbar. Under pressure, Callie Robertson even, back to the point, and Danskin gets his pocket picked by Balaz. Balaz on his own, one-on-one, fakes the shot, gets it through Jordan Marr! And Marcel Balaz completes the third period hat-trick when he's not on the man of the match list. 55-43, and oh no, it's that score again.
It's happened again. I genuinely cannot believe it, but what a goal from Marcel Balaz to put the Bees back in the lead here. Picks the pocket of Liam Danskin, who's been so good all night for the Sharks, and he just snaps it at speed. John Marr gets a piece of it, but cannot close the 5-hole fast enough. 6-5 Bees with 4:17 to play. And even I'm still not sure that we're done in terms of the scoring.
Nope. We have also embraced the chaos. 257 seconds left. What more could possibly happen?
So 11 goals here, 17 goals between Telford and Bristol. And who says the bottom end of the table isn't entertaining in the National Division?
Welcome to car crash hockey. The Sharks will go for the stretch pass, 5 through the zone, icing called. Marcel Balaz with the goal, and an assist has been given to Stuart Mogg, which can only be described as expert chiselling. Expert levels of chiselling there from the captain.
Tony Hand would be proud of that particular one.
Sharks win the draw. Good work from, I believe, Josh Smith. Down low to pin it in the corner. Now, the Bees cannot play this game of trying to hold it down low and kill the clock. They have not been good at it this year. They have been prone to falling asleep when they've tried to close games out. But it's 200 feet the other way. Yes, I'm being generous, deal with it. I saw that look. Sharks bringing out the pile. Nope, straight back in it goes. Finally it comes loose.
And so irrespective of the distance, it's not near the Bees' goal, which is the place they want it to be.
Marr forced into a cover. Kel Beattie having words there with Hallam Wilson.
But that's because a stick's been left in there, and Wilson's taken a bit of a whack on the way past. And ultimately, as well, teams have got to be careful. Of course, the extra penalties that come with fighting inside the last 5 minutes of a game. It is the ideal time to do a little bit of needlework, as it were.
Sharks win the draw. Danskin trying to get the Sharks set. Fired off the boards, that will fall to Cathcart. He will clear it into his own. Lovely bounce, almost all Stan Rose. Marr out of the net to play it. Sesenis with the puck. Boyd and Mitchell knock each other's sticks out their hands.
I believe that's Cathcart rather than Mitchell who's managed to lose his stick there.
Yeah, I'll get the numbers right eventually. Mogg fired off the boards. Sharks collect it. All eyes on Jordan Marr at the other end. Puck played ahead, off of Mogg. He will get it under control. Fired up ice. Sesenis turns, fires. That's off of Sharks defenseman.
Good work by Adam Rossbottom there, just challenging. They can't let the Sharks come up ice too easily. They've got to do what they can to make it difficult.
Gabai the other way off the feed from right. Gabai shot saved by Marr. Sesenis on the rebound, tied up brilliantly there for any kind of clean chance. Sharks the other way. Beattie at speed. Lots of bodies as we enter the final 2 minutes. That pass wayward, it still finds its way to Robertson. Gardner, under pressure from Gabai, turns it over. Sasenis just clears the blue line.
This is all time that Jordan Marr has to stay in the net.
All eyes on that bench from Jordan Marr, I should say. The Sharks over the blue line again. Pocket picked by Gabai on Gardner this time. Stead will chip it off the boards. Balaz will get there first. Spins away from Beattie, just throws it into the opposite corner as the Bees go for a change on D. 90 seconds remaining. Gabai will hold it in the corner as far away from net as possible.
Just smart stuff from the Bees here. This is all just seconds ticking away whilst just keeping the puck moving enough for the official not to do anything with it.
And the Sharks will break. The other way, Dunbar. Marr heading to the bench as Dunbar fashions a chance, fired wide of right. 6 on 5, empty net, pass behind Stuart Kerr. Still with it comes Mason Alderson. Robertson back to the blue line. Wilson pounces on that one and just clears the zone.
Just jumped off the edge, the end of the stick there from him.
Beattie gives it a Cathcart, and Ty Cathcart ices the game with his first goal as a Bee. 59-15, and the Bees lead 7-5.
Well, you and I have talked. There's a conversation happening here. Well, you and I have talked in the last couple of weeks about the improvement Ty Cathcart has made, but we are potentially staring down this goal being washed out for some reason. Ty Cathcart does not look overly confident.
Well, Nick, wheel it. No goal! Well, let's go to the replay, everybody. Why has this been washed out?
Offside, potentially?
There it is, cleared the zone, and
yes.
Balaz is very much in the zone. Correct call. There we go. So Ty Cathcart, much like Ollie Hemmings-Mayer back in December, has his first goal immediately scrubbed off the record books.
Ty Cathcart, of course, who dropped one stick and had to pick up another to continue on the play. You have to feel for him a little bit there, given how well he's played over the last month or so. He'd had earned a goal in a lot of ways, but the right call there from the officials. Balaz is miles offside.
Let's admit it. Brilliant call from the officials. They got together, they had a chat, and they've made the right call. 45 seconds. Marr back in his net. Neutral zone face-off is on the B side of the ice. Here we go again. Unfortunately, it does mean 6-5 is still on. Sharks win the draw. They get the blue line. Marr can't leave as the Bees stand firm. Here we go. Marr sprinting to the bench. Arsenault finds Dunbar, forces a save out of right, and more importantly, forces an offensive zone face-off. 31.2 on the clock.
Yeah, good sensible work there from the Sharks. Not trying to do anything overly complicated or fancy. They've tried almost at times been a little bit too fancy, it should be said, but they've done the right thing there. Just get the puck on net, force Max Wright to hold on, because now they've got position with all 6 out skaters in the B zone.
And they win the draw. Arsenault. Gardner finds space for Dunbar. Shot that trickles through everyone, and Robertson doesn't get his stick down in time. He'll have another go. They try and shovel it in short again. Bees try and clear. Stead takes a monstrous hit. No call on that one. Stead is still down. Shot fired in. Mogg will try and clear. The Sharks still with it. Dunbar, massive save from right. There's a fight down low. Morris and Alderson. Alderson's gone for Liam Morris here. This is insane. I must admit, assist on Anthony. He noticed Alderson jumping on top of Morris. I was too busy watching Max Wright sprawl out and save the game.
That sequence of play has had everything in it in the space of a few seconds. They're both being chucked out now. They're being not the greatest of decisions there from the officials to push them towards each other, because they're having a proper go at each other. Ultimately, there's 4.8 seconds left.
And now they're going to do the exact same thing again and chuck them both towards each other. .8 seconds remaining.
Well, hopefully someone is down there between us, because there is not much of a gap.
Yeah, there are plenty of Bees officials there breaking it up.
What a sequence. What a sequence of events there. That massive hit as well on Will Stead down on the ice. Everything's still going around. Wright's made a save off of a shot by the looks of it in there as well. But everything is happening all at the same time. We have 4.8 seconds left. The face-off is going to be in the zone.
Here we go again. So there's the hit off this camera there that you can't quite see. Well, no, we're not going to play the rest of that. Here's that hit.
It's an awkward landing. I'm not sure how bad. I'm not
It's
sure
Alderson again. It's Mason Alderson again with the hit.
But there's the thing.
Nick, can we find the save there as well?
But the thing is, as well, is that I'm not sure that's the most illegal. It's definitely not as bad as the hit that he laid on
No.
Morris down there. And actually, Stead's turned at a really, really awkward moment there as well. I can understand.
Stead is going to the locker room with his arm in a sling.
Yeah, that's definitely. He's landed very awkwardly, but he's also just turned at just the wrong moment as well, which has resulted in him landing really, really awkwardly into the boards. I'm not sure what the call is on that play. Particularly, obviously, the fact that Mason Alderson and Liam Morris have started punching each other and have been being held back by the officials whilst trying to punch each other, those calls are much easier to do.
Mason Alderson and Liam Morris both receive 5 in game for fighting. The Bees are more incensed on the hit on Stead from what Gabai was just insinuating here. 4.8 seconds. Buzzer beater territory. Gabai ties the man up. Shot. Blocked. Balaz clears. Ball. Game. 6-5 again. And the Bees get another win as this time we've got another one as Max Wright is getting into it with Lewis Young. And it's all boiling over. And this is getting ridiculous.
Well, this is, after what's just happened, the fact that there's a few earnest discussions, and while Danskin and Kelly look like they're going to do something, then don't.
Marcus Mitchell just thrown a punch at Nolan Gardner, who was not involved in any of it. Well, everyone having fun at home. And there's another bit of stupidity from Ty Cathcart behind the play there. Well, DOPS, we hope you're having fun this week.
And now Marcus Mitchell grabbing a hold of Callum Hepburn.
Why? No clue.
Callum Hepburn, one of the few people the same height as Marcus Mitchell as well, so for folk who are interested in such things. But definitely not a good idea to try fighting a man wearing a blocker and a goalie glove.
All just a very silly end to what is a very good game. And now Ty Cathcart has just resorted to pointing at the scoreboard. Oh, yeah.
Well, the classics are the classics for a reason.
Cathcart is being chucked out now as well. As is Marcus Mitchell. Interestingly, no Sharks. I think we could have the awkward moment here where the man of the match might have been ejected for the Bees. Oh dear.
Those beers will find their way one way or the other, let's be said. But it should be said, what a conclusion to a game of hockey one. The boiling over of bits and pieces aside, if you're the Sharks, you're kicking yourself. If you're the Bees, you are massively pleased with that final period, which was as good as I have seen the Bees play this season when you and I have commentated on them together. We have been treated to an end-to-end, maybe, these two sides are at the end of the table they are at for a reason on the balance of the play of the entire season. But people cannot tell me that the National League does not provide entertaining, exciting hockey. Yeah, it's not the '84 Oilers, but what a display we've had from both of these sides here. Entertaining, bits of skill, bits of grit, and a little bit of everything for everyone. And ultimately, at the end of it, the Bees, who need to run the table to have a chance at the playoffs, have got something out of the weekend.
They get 2 points out of it. We'll move on to the man of the matches. We've got some very small babies below us. Hallam Wilson, obviously his partner gave birth earlier in the week. We are going to have man of the matches. So, everyone okay? Yep, we've got both Hallam Wilson and Josh Smith's very, very young, less than a week old children on the ice. They're going to do the lap of honour. Man of the match for the Sharks this evening, I believe. we do have a winner. If you had to pick one, Anthony, off the top of your head, again, bear in mind these names are very outdated.
Well, I mean, Callie Robertson is probably the obvious choice here. The other person I thought who had a really, really good game until he got his pocket bit by Don Goodbye, I thought Liam Danskin had a really, really good game as well.
I think I put him on the list. But Callie Robertson is the winner of the man of the match. Obviously, we've got no Annika tonight, which means we've got no on ice. I think you've just spoiled who the Bees one is, by the way, there, Nick. Well done. Who was the away winner? There we go, Callie Robertson. Callie Robertson won it with 50% of the vote. Stuart Kerr, John Dunbar and Jordan Marr were on it. Liam Danskin was on the short list as well, and I picked the wrong one.
Well, Stuart Kerr, I thought, did have a relatively decent game, all things considered. I think he's a bit of a sort of an underappreciated Sharks player from fans across the league. Doesn't quite get the due he deserves for just quietly going about his job.
The Sharks do have their lap of honour as referee James Irons makes sure they go through the right door. Sharks fans, thank you for joining us. If you made one of the 2 trips down here to the hangar this year, thank you. If you've watched us on the stream, if you're watching us up in the bar in Solway, thank you for joining us this year. I must admit, thank you to the Sharks, John Strange, Andrew Glenn in particular, for having me up there before Christmas in December. If you want me again next year, lads, Andy's got my phone number, give us a bell. And hopefully enjoy your week in Coventry. Marcus Mitchell has to come back on the ice to present the shirt off the back. Always funny. Penalties timed at 59-55. Liam Morris 5 in game for fighting. Mason Alderson 5 in game for fighting. You've got to imagine there might be some called for the after the buzzer stuff.
Yeah, something's going to come. But I think as well, Alderson, who was already staring down the barrel of a DOPS review because of the hit on Morris to start with, I think him and Morris are now going to end up getting looked at because that is a fight in the final 5 minutes whilst being held back and resisting the officials. That's not ideal for either side.
All eyes on the national website this weekend. Well, Anthony, you've already seen who's won the man of the match, but if you had to pick anybody else, who would it have been for the Bees?
Far too many choices. I try to not laugh and talk at the same time. Marcel Balage really was the immediate pick on that front. I appreciate, obviously, the timing to be able to do these bits and pieces kind of causes the issue. As we can see there, Ralph Sesenis being selected there before Marcel Balage turned up and scored a hat-trick in the final period.
Thanks, Graham. You made that really work. I must admit, Tycho Cathcart's also been allowed back on the ice, so maybe nothing coming, but we'll see. There's bound to be something in the week. Sesenis gets the man of the match. He's been a breath of fresh air in this Bees team since his return from suspension in January. Yeah,
not had his most effective of evenings, I would argue, all things considered. But one of the things, like you say, he's been a different attacking dimension that the Bees were lacking. He adds where there's an argument that Balage and Gabay are kind of similar in the way they do things. Sesenis is very, very different to everything else that they have in terms of an attacking threat. So, like you say, he is. Whilst I would not have selected Sesenis as my man of the match, all things considered, he has definitely added to this Bees lineup.
Look, I had to pick it after 40 minutes. Don't shoot the messenger.
I know. But you didn't vote, so that's on everybody else.
Right, well, the Bees go for their lap of honour after grinding out the 2 points tonight. They are next in action. Well, we'll get that on in a minute. Anthony, thank you for joining me the past 2 weeks. You can't say I don't give you entertaining games, at least.
No, this is very true. We got goals.
Yes. You got to say your line live on the air.
I did.
Still not really commentating on the fight. Hopefully we'll actually get one where people are allowed to stand up and do it.
That counts enough. There was definitely punches.
Anthony might be back towards the end of the year if you fancy joining us. I've got to work it out with my other assistant commentators that I've got, my rotating band of merry men. But otherwise, the Bees are back here, well, in a short space of time. It's Saturday night hockey for the first time in a couple of weeks when we welcome, well, we were going to. Nick decided he didn't want to. We welcome the whole Seahawks to town for what is usually a very feisty, very goal-filled game. So just after the Solway Sharks get here, we now get the Seahawks. That's a 6:30 face-off here in the rink, 5:45 live on the stream if you can join us on Saturday night. But if not, well, enjoy your weekend. From me, from Anthony, from Nick, thank you for joining us. Good night. Punch it, Chewy.